Before Mist, the 3 warrior stances locked you out of certain abilities, and only the best of warriors could stance dance to use specific skills, because each time you changed stances you lost all your rage. There are 3 stances: Battle, Berserker, and Defensive. In Vanilla, Battle stance gave you some rage when you did damage and some when you were hit. In Wrath, it was changed to increase armor pen by 10%. In Cataclysm, it increased damage and decreased damage taken by 5%. In Mist, it was changed to give rage on each hit. Berserker stance in its first form increased melee haste by 10% and increased the damage you took by 20%. A few patches into Vanilla, it was changed to increase crit by 3% and increase damage taken by 10%. In Wrath, they reduced the extra damage taken to 5%, and in Cataclysm removed the extra damage effect and changed it to increase damage done by 10%. In the Mist beta, this skill went through a few changes. First, it was changed to simply increase the damage of Cleave and Whirlwind by 20%. Then it was changed to only give rage when taking damage. Then finally they settled on it giving some rage when attacking and some from taking damage. Defensive stance in its first form reduced damage done and taken by 10%. In Wrath, it was given a 45% threat boost and changed to only reduce your damage done by 5%. In Cata, they finally realized that reducing your damage was stupid, so they removed the damage penalty and just gave it a 200% threat boost in addition to reducing damage by 10%. In patch 4.3, when all the tanking classes got a threat buff, they baked Warrior's threat buff into defensive stance, increasing the threat by 500%. In Mist, it was changed to reduce damage taken to 15%, then again in patch 5.3, changed to a ridiculous amount of 25% reduced damage at all times. Now, what the stances actually did was of little concern to warriors in PvP and why they actually used them. Mainly, they switched stances to use certain abilities. In Vanilla, it was common practice to go into battle stance to charge in, because back then charge was only usable out of combat. Switch to Berserker to use all their useful DPS talents, and switch back to battle stance if going against a rogue or a druid to overpower spam. Each time you changed stances, you lost all your rage, but it was necessary to accomplish what you wanted. If you wanted to disarm in PvP, you had to switch to defensive stance. If you wanted to shield wall, you had to switch to defensive stance and equip a shield. Same for spell reflect and intervene. In order to charge, you need to be out of combat and in battle stance, and to intercept, you need to be in Berserker stance and have rage. Before Cataclysm, Pummel was only usable in Berserker stance, so a common practice to juke out warriors was to wait for them to change to battle stance to freely cast. Prot warriors had the skill for a while that allowed them to use both charge and intercept in defensive stance, and in combat, making them extremely mobile in both PvP and PvE compared to other melee classes.